Away, Matt Harvey is back in town, searching for a new part of the ballpark as he returns with the Cincinnati Reds. At Citi Field in New York, the New York Mets play the Cincinnati Reds. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Ram Trucks. From towing to hauling, work or play, Ram Trucks will power you through. By Spectrum. Hey, Mets fans, get the best TV, internet, and voice service today at Spectrum.com. By Geico, the #1 insurer in the New York market. And by Altice One. Enjoy the ultimate viewing experience from Altice One, only from Optimum. Well, Matt Harvey has returned to Citi Field for the first time since the Mets traded him away, and there's plenty of attention on the former Mets pitching star, media attention, and from his ex-teammates as well. And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to Citi Field. I'm Gary Cohen. Ron Darling joins me in just a moment as the Mets open a 3-game series with the Cincinnati Reds. Matt Harvey will not pitch for the Reds against the Mets in this series, but that hasn't lessened the attention on Matt's return. He was a shining comet through his 6 years with the Mets, but he left on more uncertain terms. It was a reflective Matt Harvey who met with the media earlier today.
I made a lot of mistakes, and that was, something I've definitely look back on, and I wouldn't say regret. People make mistakes, and I definitely made a lot of them, and I think that's kind of goes with the emotions of coming back here. It's I do remember a lot of cheers, and I obviously remember some boos. I always wanted to win here, and I always wanted to bring 2013 every single year, and I think with those injuries, it just wasn't quite possible at the time, and it sucked. It was not something I wanted, and obviously, getting to the World Series and doing all of that, my whole goal was to win and to get back there every year, and like I said, the injuries just kind of didn't let that happen.
I think it's fair to say that few players in Mets history have ever had as stunning a group of highs and as inglorious lows as Matt Harvey did during his tenure here.
I've had a couple of months to digest it. It happened so quickly when he was traded to the Reds in May. 104 starts in a Mets uniform, 34 wins. Of course, the postseason. Matt talked about he wanted to bring 2013 every year, but it really will be 2015, which I remember because he pushed himself so far that year, culminating in that Game 5. What I'll always remember is his debut in 2012 in Arizona, because it really marked a turning point for this franchise, the first of the young pitching stars to make it to the big leagues. I remember I was angry because I wasn't doing that game. You guys were in Arizona. He struck out 11 in that game, and he was sold as a guy that might be a third or fourth starter. There was nothing about Matt Harvey that was the third or fourth starter. He was an ace from the day he took them out. Well, Matt Harvey is back in uniform with the Cincinnati Reds. Again, not a participant in this series, but certainly an interested observer.
Sunday, the Mets take on the Nationals at 1:10 p.m. The first 15,000 fans in attendance will receive a Mets lunch bag courtesy of Wise Snacks. Plus, all kids 12 and under can run the bases after the game in the Mr. Met Dash, courtesy of Northwell Health. For tickets, visit Mets.com/tickets. Mets and Reds opening a 3-game series. Noah Syndergaard will make the start tonight, his second since coming back from the Coxsackie virus that took him out for one start.
Well, he's had 4 games started against the Reds in his career, 3-0 ERA under 2, although he hasn't faced them since September of 2016. But he's in a run right now, 13 straight starts, 3 runs or less allowed.
Went 7 innings, gave up 3 runs against the Nats his last time out. Syndergaard and the Mets against the Reds tonight at Citi Field. First pitch is coming right up.
And Mets Hall of Famer Ed Kranepool. Our ceremonial catcher is Kevin Plawecki. Ed, it's your pitch.
.43. They're 27-20 since. Their offense, one of the best in the league. 3 All-Stars, Votto, Jeanette, and Suarez, hitting 2, 3, and 4 in the order. Mason Williams has been called up because of their dearth of outfielders. And the Reds go up against Noah Syndergaard for the first time since 2016.
Well, these are the Toyota numbers for Syndergaard this year. In his career, he's made 75 regular season starts, 30 wins, and 20 losses. And defensively for the Mets, you can see in the infield, Jeff McNeil's getting most of the reps at second base. Wilmer back at first. Plawecki is doing more catching. And in the outfield, Conforto, Austin Jackson, and Nimmo. That seems to be the outfield that Callaway wants to use right now.
Syndergaard's 15th start of the year. Missed time because of the finger injury. Missed time because of the virus. Missed time is unfortunately a big subheading in his major league career, and he hopes to miss no more time in 2018.
So to give you perspective, he should have about 23 starts right now. So he's missed 7 or 8 of them.
Mets dropped 3 out of 4 to the Braves over the weekend. Now they get 3 with the Reds before heading out on an 11-game road trip that will be long and winding. Reds are sitting at the bottom of the National League Central, but they are a far different team than they were the first time the Mets saw them. Mets played 3 games in Cincinnati in May, won the first one, dropping the Reds to 8-27. And they have been a far better team since then under Jim Riggleman, who took over for Brian Price when the Reds were 3-15 to start the year.
Yeah, 5 games over 500 since that May 7th.
Jose Peraza leads off, hitting at 283. Syndergaard's first pitch of the night is inside a fastball for ball 1, and we're underway. Peraza, who started out with the Braves, traded to the Dodgers, then went from LA to Cincinnati in a 3-way deal, the same deal that sent Todd Frazier from the Reds to the White Sox. And Peraza flies one out to right. Nimmo moving toward the line. And that's the first out of the night. Ball carried a little further toward the line than Brendan expected. The wind is kind of swirling around the ballpark on a steamy New York night. So 1 out and nobody on. Now here's Joey Votto, who sat yesterday in the final game of the Reds series with the Nationals after he got hit twice in Saturday's game and got a little angry at the last one from his sort of former teammate Ryan Madson. I say sort of because Madson never actually pitched for the Reds, but he was there for a year having Tommy John surgery.
See the numbers, career versus Syndergaard.
Votto, as is generally the case, leads the National League in on-base percentage. He's led the league 6 of the last 8 years, and he's leading again with a .426 mark, which is 2 points shy of his career on-base percentage, .428.
.473 in his last 14.
The difference for Votto this year compared to last is the home run ball has disappeared. He had 36 last year, just 9 so far this year. So his overall numbers are far below what they were a year ago when he had a tremendous second half of the season. Swings at a 3-0 pitch and fouls off the fastball.
Well, that's what you'll see when your hitter's 0 for 11 against a certain pitcher.
You don't think of Votto as being a 3-0 swinger.
No.
And he curls one right over the bag. That's a base hit going down the line. Hits off the jutting stands. Votto had already broken it down going to first base. Should have had a double. He'll settle for a single.
Well, you were mentioning that he was hit a couple times on Saturday night and wonder if that's a factor as he hits this right off the end of the bat, kept it fair down the third base line.
I think he anticipated that Conforto was going to get over there to play it cleanly, and he broke it down before he got to first base rather than rounding the bag hard. If he had, he would have easily gotten to second.
I don't know. It looks like he's in a little pain to me. But you're right. He came out of the box looking like he was running hard and then just broke it down.
Here's Scooter Gennett. His home run numbers are also a bit down from last year. Hit 27 a year ago. But he's 5th in the National League in batting, hitting .310. And he was an all-star for the first time this year. Guy the Reds got on waivers from Milwaukee before last season. He has turned out to be quite an acquisition.
And Milwaukee has spent most of the trading deadline trying to get themselves a up the middle infielder.
Finally settled on Jonathan Scope from the Orioles, but not nearly what Gennett is and could have been for them.
Yelich is red hot right now.
Flores playing behind Votto at first base. You don't see that very often. And a high fastball swung through by Gennett, 1-2. I mean, the only thing I can think is if the Mets saw the way Votto ran to first base, they must figure, why not play behind him?
Yeah.
See Joey flexing that right leg. And Syndergaard buries the slider, 2-2. Noah's second start back from a brief stint on the DL. Went 91 pitches in 7 innings in the first start against Washington, and Mickey Callaway basically said the wraps are off. He can go a full 110 pitches if necessary tonight.
You saw how he took the rosin bag and kind of banged it off his forearm. That's to stop the sweat from running down into your fingers.
By the way, we got the numbers on Joey Votto swinging 3-0. Doesn't do it a lot, but when he does it, it's pretty successful. 35 times he's put the ball in play. He's 20 for 35 with 5 home runs. It's a 571 average.
Jeez.
So it's not the first time. 2-2 coming to Jeanette. And he hits a ground ball to short, might be 2. Rosario to McNeil and on to first. Just in time to get Jeanette. Side retired. See if the Reds challenge the call at first. Ben May called Jeanette out. Mets will hang around to see whether the Reds decide to challenge. And well, they should, because he was safe. So this inning may not be over yet. And the Reds do indeed challenge the call. And why not? Jim Riggleman, veteran skipper.
Yeah, I thought he'd never get another job as a skipper. He left the Nationals because they didn't pick up his option. Wilmer got out there. And watching that double play, I think Rosario did everything you could. But in watching McNeil, you don't see a real strong arm in being able to turn two.
And he takes a long time getting rid of the ball. And they've been working with him on that since he's been up in the big leagues. But clearly that's something McNeil needs a lot of work on if he's going to be a full-time second baseman.
He's a tall second baseman, long limbs, and that's how he kind of turns the double play.
And the call is overturned, as you would expect. So it goes to the 6-4 fielder's choice for the second out. Jeanette on first with 2 away. So now Eugenio Suarez. I said this yesterday, Ronnie. I think this might be the most underrated player in baseball.
I thought it was Jose Ramirez the last couple of years, but everyone knows him now.
Not underrated
That's
anymore.
right.
Suarez having his best season. He had a really good year last year, and he has trumped that completely this year. 9th in the league in on-base percentage, 4th in slugging, 3rd in home runs, and 2nd, just 1 behind Javi Baez for the National League RBI lead. At age 27, Suarez has blossomed, and he's a terrific third baseman. And he takes a fastball for a strike.
And that's after missing some time early in the season.
And he had a broken thumb that he suffered in April that cost him 3 weeks. But that's his year so far. And on the team with Votto, he doesn't get a lot of national headlines, but I think the folks in Cincinnati understand what they have.
I mean, 26 and 85 home runs and RBI.
And the Reds before this year signed him to a 7-year deal that will buy out some of the years of his potential free agency. That turns out to be a very team-friendly deal. 7 years, $66 million for control of Suarez through 2024. Jeanette 3 stolen bases on the year. And Suarez goes after the slider and misses 1 and 2.
You know, there was a time, as you look at the glove of Syndergaard, long laces coming out of that glove. Hitters usually would complain in the day about any pitcher that have any long laces on his glove, especially that one dangling from the bottom.
Well, that might be a distraction, but I guess they have to feel fortunate he doesn't have wings coming out of the side of his cap.
I mean, he's so big. Look at that glove. It looks like a little toddler's glove.
With the very short name on the side. Not Syndergaard. Thor. Grounded foul. See, that would be a distraction for a hitter, I would think. If he had the wings.
Yes. No bill of the cap.
Jeanette at first and 2 out. 1-2 to Suarez. And he went around. I thought I caught the corner. Ben May punches out Suarez, and Syndergaard will get the strikeout that way. Suarez not happy about it, but Noah survives the first inning unscathed. Mets will come to bat against Homer Bailey in the bottom of the first with no score.
I don't.
Ahmed Rosario stays in the leadoff spot. Jeff McNeil in the 2-hole. Todd Frazier back in the lineup after sitting yesterday. And Kevin Plawecki gets a start behind the plate against the 32-year-old right-hander Homer Bailey.
Well, his Land Rover numbers, he started 14 times. Cincinnati has lost 13 of those 14 starts. Been a tough go for Bailey this year.
Rosario 2 for his last 33, and he swings and misses at a fastball. He did walk twice yesterday, his first 2 at-bats, did steal a base and scored 2 runs. But the hits have been hard to come by lately for Ahmed. Hitting leadoff for the 14th time this year. And he swings over the slider from Bailey, 0-2.
Bailey's coming off his best start of the season, though. A complete game loss. 8 innings against Detroit.
He had been on the disabled list with a knee injury for nearly 2 months until 2 starts back. Grounded foul by Rosario, 0-2. But you know, Homer Bailey at one time was considered one of the brightest pitching prospects in all of baseball, and he had a 3-year span: 2012, 2013, 2014, at a 3.61 ERA. Won 32 games, but since then, since he had Tommy John surgery, it just hasn't come back for him. Since the Tommy John surgery in 2015, he's 9-21 with a 6.19 ERA.
You know, had 2 no-hitters in that great stretch you were talking about. Kerwin Danley now has a very tight strike zone. That should have been a strike 3 there, a curveball.
Rosario toward the hole. He's got a base hit. That's the first time in his 14 games as a leadoff hitter that Rosario has led off the first inning with a base hit.
Defensively for the Reds, Tucker Barnhart very good behind the plate. Peraza, Suarez, Jeanette, Joey Votto not moving around like those Gold Glove days. Preston Tucker we saw earlier in an Atlanta Braves uniform, and Billy Hamilton, he can get on his horse and go get him.
You know, the Reds have always hoped that one of these days Billy Hamilton would win a Gold Glove, but with Lorenzo Cain coming to the National League, he's got no chance.
That's right.
Cain has been unbelievable. Have you seen the defensive run save numbers for the Brewers this year?
Yes.
And Cain has an enormous amount to do with that. Here's Jeff McNeil, his 9th big league start, 9 for 29 so far, hitting .310. Rosario stole a base yesterday, his 10th. First Met this young with double digits in steals since Carlos Gomez 11 years ago. Grounded down to first, past Votto and into right field. Rosario will go first to third, and the Mets have the table set. Runners at the corners and nobody out, and there's that lack of range that Ronnie was talking about for Votto compared to his Gold Glove days. Used to be he'd put that ball in his pocket.
Yeah, he would have, and he really just leaps at the ball. He couldn't even take a crossover step to try to close the distance. So the ball gets into right field with Rosario speed, first and third for the Mets.
So a chance for Wilmer Flores on his birthday and on the anniversary of his Major League debut. He made his debut 5 years ago today on his 22nd birthday. Today, Wilmer turns 27. Happy birthday, Wilmer. Takes a slider in the dirt for ball one.
So he's been with the Mets organization, what, 11 years now? Signed as a 16-year-old?
Signed on his 16th birthday.
Well, then you expect a big day.
Well, he had a big day yesterday. He had 3 hits. Rosario at third, McNeil at first. And Wilmer takes one on the outside corner. A little bigger strike zone that time from Dan Lee, and it's 1-1. So you just never know.
Maybe it's just that inside pitch he's not calling because he's calling the one away. Hockey style mask.
Mets lost 2 out of 3 in Cincinnati, their first series with the Reds this year, but they've beaten the Reds 19 of their last 24 meetings. And Wilmer flares one, foul. 2-2.
Well, Bailey has always struggled against the Mets. He hasn't beat them since June of 2012, but his last 4 starts particularly bad. 7.06 ERA.
He took the loss in the only game the Mets won in Cincinnati earlier this year. Gave up 6 runs in 4 innings. That was on May the 7th. When that game was over, the Reds were 8-27, the worst record in the major league. They're 41-36 since then.
And the Mets were 18-15 after that May 7th game, and they've gone 27-49 since that time.
It's quite a contrast, right? The Mets got off to such a blazing start the first 2 weeks. The Reds, such a bad start that their manager got fired, and both teams have turned it around into the other direction. Some guys love playing on their birthday. I think you were one of them, Ron.
Was I?
2-0 on your birthday.
Very nice.
85-86. 1-0 win against the Expos, and you beat the Dodgers the next year, 85-86. And Wilmer takes the curveball in the dirt. Good stop by Barnhart, who won a Gold Glove in the National League last year. He draws raves for his work.
Yeah, not only with the blocking, I mean, that's textbook, but also throwing.
Well, Yadier Molina owned that Gold Glove for a long time. I think it might belong to Barnhart for many years to come. 3-2. McNeil at first, nobody out. And he is running. And Wilmer flares one the other way for a base hit, and that'll bring in the game's first run. Rosario scores. McNeil goes to third. 3 straight hits to start the bottom of the first. Wilmer has a birthday RBI, and the Mets have a 1-0 lead.
Boy, it's just so nice to see the Mets. They might not be hitting it right on the screws, but it's nice to see the runners going first to third. This one, Wilmer kind of jams himself and flares it to right field, but with the defense covering Scooter Gennett, that opens up that position, and he floats it into right field.
So Rosario, McNeil, and Flores with consecutive singles producing a run. And now Michael Conforto.
It's the breaking ball that hung in the inside part of the plate. Wilmer going the other way very nicely.
37th run batted in for Wilmer. Now Conforto, who had 2 hits yesterday. And he fouls back a fastball. Michael has a home run against Bailey in 3 career at-bats. David DeWitt Bailey, who was hung with the unfortunate pitcher's nickname of Homer when he was just a baby. If they had only known. Dribbled foul.
That's right.
I mean, they might have, you know, nicknamed him Punch Out or something like that.
Well, I did a game yesterday where the starting pitcher for the Angels, Deck McGuire, only lasted a third of an inning. He had a similar start to Bailey's start here.
He got decked.
He did.
Another unfortunate nickname. Oh, and 2 to Conforto. And he fouls back a fastball. Todd Frazier hitting 5th in the order is on deck.
What the injuries have robbed Bailey of is that he always had that high fastball that rode 95, 96, 97 miles an hour. He was able to throw it by you when he was pitching his best.
And when he's good, he'll get ahead of you and then set up his split like that. And he strikes out Conforto for the first out.
That was a good call, Gary, because he will throw the fastball, and you see that split finger grip. That's his equalizer against especially left-handed hitters. Another fine block by Barnhart.
So 1 out, runner still at first and third. By the way, that's 101 strikeouts now for Conforto. He's moving up on Nimmo for the club lead. Frazier 1 for 13 off the disabled list. He takes one the other way for a base hit, and that'll play to run. McNeil comes in to score the 4th hit of the inning as Frazier goes after the first one and takes it the other way, drives in a run against his original team, and the Mets have a 2-0 lead.
Well, that really was just having an idea before you came up to the plate, expecting a fastball away, first pitch. Like you said, he's been behind, playing defense behind Bailey for many years, and looking outside and trying to go that way. That was a game plan worked to perfection.
So 4 hits in the inning, and Nimmo will try and keep the line moving. Brandon just 3 for his last 26. Didn't start yesterday, but came off the bench and got on base twice. So the Mets have already played at a pair against Bailey, who in 7 career starts against the Mets has a 7.22 ERA. And it's not starting well tonight. He's already lathered. We usually say that about horses. And he misses low and in with the slider, 2-0.
So what happens when you lose velocity on your pitches is that you have to rediscover a different way to get hitters out, because in his past, when he was at his best, 2-0, he just fired good hard fastball and they're away. Can't do that all the time now.
He was one of those hard-throwing Texans when he first came up. 7th overall pick in the 2004 draft out of LaGrange, Texas. Toward the middle of the diamond, Jeanette can't get it cleanly, and so they get just the 1 out. If Jeanette's able to pick that ball, they probably could have turned 2, but the bobble cost them the double play, and it keeps the inning alive.
Well, his footwork was impeccable. He slid right in front of it, but you see his eyes. He kind of looked up to second base before he made the play.
This barehand grab by Peraza to make sure that they got the out. 4-6 fielder's choice for the second out. And now Austin Jackson making his 7th start for the Mets, and he's made a nice impression so far. Hit his 2nd home run as a Met in yesterday's game. And he pulls one down to third, and it goes right by Suarez into left field. That'll bring in Flores with the third run of the inning. Nimmo goes to third. Austin Jackson with an RBI single. And the Mets have a 3-0 first inning lead.
More importantly, a 2-out hit for an RBI. I haven't seen a lot of those for the Mets. This one just eats up Suarez. The brave play would be to stay in front of this and just block it with your body, but he kind of olayed it, and the ball went into the left field.
The Mets had been 0 for their last 29 with 2 outs and runners in scoring position before that base hit by Jackson. The last hit that the Mets had with 2 outs and a runner in scoring position before that was as Asdrubal Cabrera in Pittsburgh, July 26th. Guy has been gone so long, he's already hit 2 home runs as a Philly. Here's Plawecki hitting 8th in the order. Well, the Mets have matched their best first inning of the year. They haven't scored more than 3 runs in a first inning all season. This is now the 8th time they've gotten 3. Plawecki hitless in his last 11 at bats. Mets have strung together 5 singles in the inning, and the Reds' failure to turn the double play handed them the 3rd run.
Also, Suarez was playing even with the bag. 2 outs. I guess is that just for 1 strike to protect against the speed of Jackson if he lays down a bunt?
I guess so. He's back against Plawecki, who hits a curveball, nubs it right back to Bailey, and that retires the side. But a productive first inning for the Mets. 5 singles produced 3 runs, giving Syndergaard a 3-0 lead. Season. Get New York Mets home screen icons and features such as the MLB.TV Game of the Day, pitch tracking, in-game highlights, live radio broadcasts, stats, news, and more. Download MLB at Bat today. SNY Super Slow Motion is brought to you by your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing.
That's what I was talking about before. That rosin bag, if you take it and you have bare arms and you just dust your entire forearms and underneath, it'll stop the sweat from running down your arm and into your fingers.
It's a big night for the rosin bag.
Yes.
Warm and humid. Good day for a ponytail holder, too.
These are the greatest nights to pitch, I always felt.
Mason Williams leads off in the 2nd inning for Cincinnati. He's gotten off to a good start for the Reds since they called him up a couple of weeks ago. Williams hitting .379 through his first 29 at bats. He had a few cups of coffee with the Yankees the last few years. They let him go, and the Reds picked him up. And he drills one foul. The Reds have had an outfield deficiency. Jesse Winker, who was having a really good rookie year, out for the season, shoulder surgery. Scott Schebler on the sidelines, shoulder injury, and they traded Adam Duvall to the Braves. So that's given a chance to a guy like Williams. They're even talking now about using Dilson Herrera in the outfield.
Really?
The former Met, who is up with the Reds. He's had one appearance in the outfield, but they're thinking about starting him once he gets a few reps during practice. Curveball misses low to Williams, 1-2. But the Reds' strength, their infield, man.
Yeah.
3 All-Stars on that infield. Got a really good bullpen. If they can just get some starting pitching going, they've got a chance.
And I think that's why Harvey's still on the Reds roster and was not traded.
1-2 coming, and he struck him out. Second straight strikeout for Syndergaard as he gets Mason Williams, 1 out in the second.
You know, there was a lot of talk on trading Matt because a lot of teams out there needed some starting pitching, but that has really been the Achilles heel for Jim Riggleman's squad. So maybe he's part of their future.
And their starting pitching has gotten better as their record has gotten better. But, you know, the kid they thought was going to really be their ace, Luis Castillo, has not been that yet. And that doesn't mean that he won't be, but he hasn't reached that level of development at the big league level yet. Tucker Barnhart, switch hitting catcher, much better right-hand hitter than left. Batting left-handed against Syndergaard, goes after a changeup and misses, 1-1. That's the Red season. They started 3-18, 8-27. They have improved greatly since then. Starters ERA still worst in the league, but getting a little better. 99. Two-seamer?
He can do it.
That's just not fair.
No, it isn't.
He throws the hardest sinker of any starting pitcher in baseball, and he displayed it there. 1-2 to Barnhart. And he bounces the slider, 2-2.
For you folks at home, there's always the thought that when you throw the ball with 4 seams, you have the most effective velocity. The ball's really going to cut through the air, and the 2-seamer, it's really hard to match velocity with the 4-seamer. Syndergaard's been able to do it.
2-2 coming, and Barnhart lifts one to left. Conforto right there waiting for it. 2 out. Here's the dig-in deep performance presented by New York 8-1-1. The A's, who've had a muddled rotation all year despite their incredible level of success, picked up another starting pitcher. Mike Fiers was having a really good year with the Tigers. They had been talking about trading him before the deadline, but they were able to make a waiver deal today for 2 players to be named later.
The A's are like the land of the misfit pitchers, starting pitchers anyway. Trevor Cahill, Edwin Jackson.
Well, Sean Manaea, who threw a no-hitter earlier this year, has been really the one constant in that rotation all year. But Jackson's been a great pickup, playing for his 13th different team. He's pitched very well for the A's. Cahill threw 6 scoreless innings yesterday. The A's are 33-10 since the 15th of June. They were 11 games behind Seattle for the second wild card. 11 games behind, and now they're 2.5 in front in less than 2 months.
And they're in the West talk now, only 4 games behind the Astros.
And they're only 2.5 behind the Yankees.
That's right.
For the first wild card, where the Yankees haven't been swept in Boston. 0-2 to Preston Tucker, who came over in the Duvall trade from the Braves, and he fouls one off his leg. Tucker got off to a really hot start with Atlanta this year before the Braves called up Ronald Acuna.
He got off to a fast start. Ryan Flaherty got off to a fast start. Dansby Swanson got off to a fast start also.
Tucker 2 for 13 since joining the Reds. Syndergaard ahead of him 0-2. Slider at his feet, 1-2.
Barnhart, when he was with the Braves, he was vulnerable on that fastball up in the strike zone. Good breaking ball hitter.
Hit sharply up the middle, and Tucker's got a base hit. 2-out single for Preston Tucker, the Reds' second hit against Syndergaard.
Well, it's the two-seamer down. Interesting grip by Syndergaard. I don't know if I've ever seen a pitcher hold his two-seamer like that. Kind of across the seams. Instead of with them, he's kind of across the seams.
So it's really not a true two-seamer.
No, but it has that running action. Maybe that's why he's able to keep the velocity so high.
Now Homer Bailey hitting 8th in the order.
So see the grip. He's right across it instead of with the seams. That's a true two-seamer. He's right on top of those seams, and that middle finger pulling on that outside huge-shaped seam.
I mean, is it unusual the fact that his index finger isn't even on a seam?
It's crazy. It's almost like that's how you used to throw a spitball.
Right.
But this is how you usually throw a two-seamer with the seams, right? He's holding it across, and this finger is the one that's coming off, and that's producing the two-seam kind of drag and sink. Very interesting. Changing the game, Noah.
Grounded to the right side. McNeil giving ground, gets to it, and throws on target to get Bailey. Nice play by McNeil to end the inning. A hit and one left. McNeil knew he had time with Bailey running, able to give ground. $15 per ticket is a great way to enjoy a Mets game at Citi Field. Your Coca-Cola value pack includes a Mets game ticket, a Nathan's Famous hot dog, and a Coca-Cola soft drink. Purchase your Coca-Cola value pack starting at just $15 today at Mets.com/value pack. Mets sent 8 men to the plate in the first inning and scored 3 runs, so Noah Syndergaard leads off the home second. Noah has 3 hits this year, 3 RBIs, no home runs. 4 home runs in his career, half of them on a memorable night at Dodger Stadium.
What a game. Are you and I old enough to remember when it was only called Coca-Cola and not Coke? I mean, I remember when I was a kid always calling it Coca-Cola.
No, things go better with Coke. That's really old.
Yeah?
Yeah. Now, if you're from the South, as Syndergaard strikes out,
right.
There's one syllable missing. It's Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola, okay. I've always heard in the South people say, I'd like a Coke. What kind? Orange. Like Coke is generic for soda. And then you tell them what kind you want.
Well, of course, there are areas of the country where it's not soda, it's pop.
Pop, that's right.
So certain regionalisms exist to this day. Here's Rosario, who had a base hit to start the Mets' 3-run first inning. Ahmed's base hit was just his third in his last 34 at bats. And goes after a 2-0 fastball and fouls it back. Nearly keeping everything away from him this at bat. Jeff McNeil on deck. And he gets the slider in for a strike, 2-2.
That's a good pitch by Bailey. You should use that more often. That's that inside slider. Starts it at the right-handed hitter and bends it over the inside corner.
Rosario lines one right to the shortstop Peraza for the second out. And now a quick message from your Tri-State Porsche dealers. Feel like going for a drive now.
Yeah, right.
Here's Jeff McNeil, who hit a base hit just past Joey Votto's reach and scored a run in the first inning. McNeil pops one foul back and out of play. So McNeil had 4 hits on Saturday. He went 1 for 4 yesterday as a base hit his first time up today. 10 hits now in his first 30 big league at bats. With the 1 home run in Washington when his team was a few runs down.
Moonshot. When did that come? Was it 19?
It was 19-0 at that point. I mean, I don't know if Elias ever looked at that. If a guy's ever hit his first big league home run with his team down by that many runs. I would have to bet there's a good chance that was the case.
There used to be, when I played, certain players would get a reputation as a guy that would only hit when the game was out of reach. Well, certainly that would be defined by that home run.
Well, that was my experience of Dave Kingman's career. He was really good at the home run when you were down 7-0.
Really?
Oh. Yeah. 1-2 coming to McNeil. And he chops one over the mound. Peraza comes to the right side and throws him out. 1-2-3 inning for Bailey, bouncing back after a rough first. 3-0 Mets after 2. Series here with the Reds, then an 11-game road trip in 5 different cities. 3 in Miami, 1 back in New York at Yankee Stadium, 2 in Baltimore, and then 5 with the Phillies. The first 4 in Philadelphia. The last one not pictured there on the 20th, or actually it is pictured there on the 19th.
Okay.
Is in Williamsport, Pennsylvania.
Really?
Yeah. Not on the Little League field.
Where am I going? I mean, that's the only way I know my schedule is my face on the date.
We've been informed that due to editorial considerations, the faces have been taken off the dates.
Okay. I'm going to have to look at the revised schedule.
Billy Hamilton ties himself in a knot, and he went around. It's 0-2. Hamilton hitting 9th in the order. Billy Hamilton having the year he always has. His on-base percentage under 300. A lot of stolen bases. Not enough times on base to steal. And that's why he's hitting 9th rather than 1st. 267 career stolen bases in his 5+ years. Lifetime 298 on base percentage. They've tried over the years to get him to bunt more. They've tried to get him to hit the ball on the ground to use his speed. Just nothing has ever really taken. And he grounds one right at the second baseman McNeil. Throws out Hamilton, 1 away. Today's Verizon trivia question: who holds the Reds' single-season record for the highest on-base percentage? We were talking about Joey Votto, led the league 6 of the last 8 years, leading the league again this year. But does he have the record, or is it somebody else?
Wow, I would assume it's Votto, but the way the question's asked, it's probably not.
I think it was the little second baseman.
Yeah.
Here's Jose Peraza, who flied out to right his first time up, and he takes off the plate for ball 1. Peraza started the day 7th in the National League in base hits. He's had a nice year. And he fouls one off his foot, and it's 1-1. Joey Votto hitting 2nd in the order, waiting on deck. This Reds team is 3rd in the National League in batting average, 4th in runs scored, but they don't hit a ton of home runs, which is surprising considering their ballpark. The Reds pitching staff has given up by far the most home runs of any team in the league, but the Reds are only tied for 10th in the National League in hitting home runs. They've hit 117, given up 162. 1-2 coming, and Peraza bounces one for Rosario, who charges it nicely. 2 out. Now Joey Votto, who's always been known for his terrific pregame preparation. We talked to him about how that's changed over the years.
I think as you get older, you have only so many swings in your body each day. You have only so many ground balls, so many throws before you really pay for it the following couple days. So I have to work more efficiently. I have to work smarter. I have to make sure that every time I do something, there's not only purpose, but it's effective. And that comes with time. I was lucky when I was younger. I could take a few hundred swings per day and still roll out there and feel fresh for the game. Whereas now, if I take a few hundred swings, I won't be fresh until October.
Joey's now 34 years old. And he laces one into center field for a base hit. So Votto is 2 for 2.
Well, he's amazing. He has put so much thought into how to be the best hitter he can be. And on this 98-mile-an-hour fastball right up the middle from Votto. What's interesting hearing his words to Steve there, and you look at his approach, crouch, short, quick swing. Maybe that's why he's doesn't have the pop that he once had.
Scooter Gennett lays off the curveball, ball 1.
His words to Steve Gelbs, I wonder if he ever regrets taking those 200 swings early in his career. If they pile up after a while and work against you, as far as how long your career is going to be.
I don't know. Do you think that holds? I mean, he said you only have so many per day. Do you think they accumulate over time in terms like, I don't know, you only have so many swings over the course of your career?
There's so many pitches, they'll say bullets for a pitcher. Well, maybe not. Probably the only way you could perfect this swing was to take those 200+ swings every day early.
Syndergaard behind 2-0. And Jeanette takes changeup away, ball 3. And as was the case the first time Votto got on base, the Mets are not holding him on. So clearly, whether it's what they saw tonight or whether it's what the scouting report was coming into the series, the Mets have no fear of Votto going anywhere.
A couple of 3-0 counts now by Syndergaard. That's not usually in his playbook.
Ball behind Votto in the first inning, 3-0, and now 3-0 to Jeanette. And there's a strike. Noah has walked 16 batters in 84 innings this year. 1.7 walks per 9 innings. Walked 1 in 7 innings in his last start against the Nats. And that's ball 4 to Jeanette, and the Reds have 2 men on. So the first walk of this game for Syndergaard. And that'll bring up Eugenio Suarez with 2 on and 2 out. Suarez struck out his first time up. Suarez had a career year last year, hitting 26 home runs and driving in 82. With almost a third of the season to go, he has 26 home runs and he's driven in 85. So he is having an even better career year. OPS of 968. He has been spectacular. And he grounds one just foul. 0-1.
Interesting approach. He's very relaxed in the batter's box. Bat on his back shoulder. Stands up very tall. No crouch at all. And a medium leg kick.
Suarez has to move his feet. Ball and a strike. Eugenio Suarez started out as a shortstop in the Tigers organization. Reds got him in a trade for pitcher Alfredo Simon. It's a pretty good deal.
Yes.
Good. Time the knot on that 2-seamer, and it's 1-2. I mean, think about it. They have 3 All-Stars on this team. They got Jeanette for a bag of balls, and they got Suarez for a pitcher who's long been out of the leagues. That's what you have to do when you're a smaller market team. You have to sometimes be prescient or lucky in the deals you make. Helps you if you're a big market team too. 1-2 coming. And Suarez takes on the inside corner. Strike 3 call. Got him looking at a changeup. Suarez strikes out for the second time. Third strikeout for Syndergaard on the night. He's got a 3-0 lead in the third. Michael insider Ralph Vacchiano has up-to-the-minute reports straight from Jets camp on SNY.TV, your online home of all things New York sports. Wilmer Flores drove in a run with a first-inning single on his 27th birthday. Mets scored 3 runs in the first against Homer Bailey, who worked a 1-2-3 second. And Wilmer takes a letter-high strike, 0-1. Flores, Conforto, and Frazier for the Mets in the third. And Flores knocks himself right down. That's why you wear the shin guard.
That's right. He fouls an unusual number of pitches, especially the sinker down and in off his legs. Maybe because he's so quick inside.
That's the thing, I guess. The more inside pitches you swing at, the more chance you have of fouling them off your foot.
And the more contact you make inside. Some people swing and miss.
See, swinging and not missing.
It's pretty remarkable that he's able to hit that ball so hard off his fingertips and still cover the outside part of the plate.
Oh, 2 from Bailey. Pulled down to third and under the glove of Suarez. Second one that Suarez has not been able to make connection on tonight. And they'll score that one, a base hit for Flores, as they did the last one by Jackson that Suarez couldn't grab.
It's a little bit of a slow reaction by Suarez, and he never got his glove down. Just went right under the leather.
So Flores is 2 for 2. That's at their 6th hit, all singles against Homer Bailey. Might have to rename him Single Bailey. Here's Conforto, who struck out his first time up. And Michael takes a fastball for a strike. When Bailey was in his heyday, 2013, 2014, the Reds signed him to a long-term deal. They gave him 6 years and $105 million. Conforto drills one into right for a base hit. Flores will go to second and stop there. And the Mets have something cooking again here in the third. You know, we talked about small market teams having to get fortunate sometimes with their deals, but you know, those are the kinds of deals for small market teams that can really set them back if they don't work out.
Yeah, split finger there from Bailey. Yeah, you've got to be almost perfect when you decide to, you know, allocate that much funds for one player.
He's got one more year on that deal next year before it expires. 6 years, $105 million, and they really haven't gotten a lot of value out of it. Now, you know, a lot of that's bad luck, right? He had Tommy John surgery that took him out in most of 15, and he's really struggled ever since. Here's Frazier with 2 on, and he takes a slider off the plate, 1-0. Todd went after a first pitch fastball and lined it into right field to drive in a run in the first inning. See, now this is how I know my memory is going.
Yeah.
Remember I was talking before about Jeff McNeil hitting a home run, first home run with his team down by 19.
Yeah.
We actually had that information the other day.
Oh, we did.
Elias did provide it to us. That it tied the record for the furthest a team was down when a guy hit his first home run.
Elias wants to set the record straight.
Brooklyn, Henry Thielman in 1903. His team was down 20-1 to the Giants at an inside the park home run for his first and only big league home run.
I don't know what I admire more, the inside the park home run or the hustle being that many runs down.
Let's remember what the ballparks were like in those days. I mean, I don't know exactly what the facility was in 1903. Some incarnation of the Polo Grounds.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a certain time when the Polo Grounds was 505 feet to center field. 3-0 to Frazier, and Todd takes a rip and fouls it off.
I remember most of the once I got to the Big Diamond when I was a kid, most of the parks I played at did not have fences for home runs. You know, you used to hit it over the center fielder's head and run until they got it in.
Now, I know you got to play when you were in college at Columbia's home field.
That's right.
Where it's about 350 feet to center field and about 450 down the line.
It is.
Most unusual configuration of any ballpark I've ever seen. Frazier hits one out to center field. Hamilton back. He'll have room. Right at the edge of the track, he makes the catch, tagging it second Flores. He'll move up. So will Conforto behind him. So a doubly productive out for Frazier as Hamilton caught that ball back on his heels and both runners move up.
Well, the Mets showing some better base running tonight. First to third in the first inning a couple of times, and both advancing on that fly ball by Frazier.
City probables for the remainder of the series. Jason Vargas goes tomorrow night against Sal Romano. Jacob deGrom Wednesday afternoon against a pitcher to be determined. It will not be Matt Harvey pitching on 3 days rest. Reds sent Tyler Mahle, who has pitched a lot for them this year, down to the minor leagues. So somebody has to take that spot on Wednesday. Infield in for Nimmo, second and third, one out. And Brandon takes a fastball for a strike. Nimmo hit what should have been an inning-ending double play ball in the first inning, but Jeanette bobbled it. They only got one, and the Mets were able to cash in an extra run.
A lot of fortunate hits for the Mets in that first inning, but the balls in this inning have been hit pretty sharply.
Mets now with 7 hits against Bailey, all singles. Single here could play 2. And Nimmo grounds one down to Votto. And now breaking from the plate is Frazier. Votto's throw is Flores, and Votto's throw gets Wilmer by a healthy margin. I don't know what Wilmer was thinking there. He went halfway down the line and then broke late. And Votto was easily able to throw him out for the second out.
Well, I think what Flores was thinking is as he comes down the line, he thought that Votto was going to go to first base to record the out. When he saw that, he figured he'd come home. But Votto had his eye on him the entire time. So kind of set him up there, to tell you the truth.
Second time in 2 days that Wilmer has had some questionable base running between third and home. He got thrown out on that weird 5-4-2 double play yesterday when he first broke back to third and then got thrown out of the plate. So first and third and 2 out, and Austin Jackson takes ball 1.
Well, this is dangerous too. Face just right into the ground with a little shove from Barnhart with that tag.
Doesn't seem so happy birthday.
No.
Jackson drove in a run with a base hit his first time up. Ball that ate up Suarez at third base. So Austin's now had 23 at bats for the Mets, and he has 9 hits. That's good. That's .391 with a couple of home runs thrown in. That's giving Jackson a chance to play just about every day right now in center field. You know, the Mets have been using a lot of older players, whether it be Bautista or Reyes, but you know, Jackson's only 31, and you know, we don't know how healthy Juan Lagares is going to come back next year. So the Mets certainly, off the early returns, certainly have to be thinking about Jackson as a possibility to be on this team next year. He flies this one out to center, and Hamilton circles in to get it. And that retires the side. Mets get 2 hits, but leave a pair. We've played 3. Ed Kranepool is going to join us in the 4th inning. Mets 3, Reds nothing. 1962, Ed Kranepool made his Mets debut, part of the National League and World Series champion Mets in '69, part of the National League champions in 1973. 1,418 hits, a record that's stood for a long time. He still has the all-time Shea Stadium record for base hits, right, Eddie?
I took it with me. I tell you what, we had to take the stadium down. I think I still have the most pinch hits and the most games played. You know, unfortunately, I don't think David's going to catch me on that.
Toward the gap in left center and run down by Jackson to retire Mason Williams. It is great to have you back here at Citi Field. How are you feeling, first of all?
I'm feeling pretty good. I mean, I'm getting around. I'm feeling a lot better than I guess I'm supposed to. But I've been taking care of myself. I've got myself ready for an organ donor. You know, and if I can have a transplant, that's what I'm looking forward to. I saw Ronnie a couple of weeks ago at his event, and I'm getting around. I'm not ready to play golf this year, but I promised him next year I will play in the event.
Just for people who don't know, you're looking for a kidney donation.
Well, that's really what it is. I mean, I had my foot taken care of, and now I'm ready. I'm infection-free, and if we can get an organ donor, you know, that's what we're looking for.
How do you go about doing that?
Well, you got to contact the hospital. I'm affiliated with Stony Brook Hospital, and they have a number that can be reached, and that number is 631-444-6944, or we even set up a website. It's kidneyforcranepool@gmail.com. So either way, they can reach out and somebody will get back to them, and you know, they'll tell them exactly what has to go through as far as you know, being a donor.
Ground ball to the right side, and McNeil throws out Barnhart for the second out. So it doesn't escape notice that next year is going to be the 50th anniversary of the '69 Mets. Have you given that any thought?
It was a quick 50 years. I don't know where the time went. You know, it obviously goes by, and as I look back, and I'm still in contact with a number of guys. Some of them are not feeling very well. You know, we're all getting up in years. The thing about our ball club, we had a lot of guys the same age, just like you did, Ronnie. Yeah. You know, when you played, you know, you have a group of guys. The core guys are all the same age. Seaver, Grody, and Svoboda, Tugboat Rowe was the same age. You know, Buddy Harrelson, myself. You know, we're all the same age, you know, within a couple of months of each other, and some of us are getting sick. And I just hope everybody can make it back. If we have an event here at Citi Field, that we can all be back. And it's always great to see the guys, but nobody knows what's going to happen.
You know, it seems like we know everything about your '69 team. Is there anything that you can tell us that maybe people don't know that made that team so special?
We had a lot of fun together. You know, we really did. Off the field and on the field, guys associated with each other. We really spent a lot of time together. You know, as a player, you're on the road a lot, and your closest friend is your roommates. But you only have a handful of guys, and I learned that early on from Casey Stengel. You don't go out with 10 guys. You go out with 2 or 3 guys, because Casey used to tell you, you know, you go out with them and each one buys a round of drinks. You got 10 drinks. You go out with 2 or 3 guys, you know, it's not so bad. You can make it through the night.
Fly ball hit out to right, and Nimmo comes on to get it. A quick inning for Syndergaard. Eddie, thanks so much. And again, that phone number 631-444-6944. This man needs a kidney. Let's get him one, okay?
Yeah. Well, thank you very much,
and I think we have some video of you throwing out the first pitch.
Oh, I don't think I want to see that. That was the best part of my act. Look at that.
The great Ed Kranepool joining us. Great to see him in such good health. on any device with live streaming presented by Verizon. Just visit SNY.TV or download the NBC Sports app today for live streaming coverage of every SNY Mets game. We go to the bottom of the 4th inning. Mets with a 3-0 lead. They got all 3 runs in the first inning against Homer Bailey, who was able to get out of some serious trouble in the 3rd when Votto threw out Flores at the plate. Kevin Plawecki leads off in the home 4th. Kevin hit a comebacker his first time up. We had way too quick an inning with Eddie Kranepool visiting us. I wanted to follow up his story about Casey Stengel telling him to go out with only a minimal number of players because of the expense involved. Because I'm just wondering when Casey told him that. Because if you'll remember, when Eddie made his debut with the Mets in September of 1962, he was 17 years old. The Mets had signed him right out of high school, James Monroe High School in the Bronx. He had spent some time in the minor leagues, and he came up for a September call-up, got his first at bat in September of '62, 17 years old.
Plawecki drives one to deep left field. Back goes Tucker to the warning track at the wall. It's out of here. Kevin Plawecki with his 3rd home run of the season. And the Mets now have a 4-0 lead. Well, Plawecki had been hitless in his last 12 at bats, but he got all of that.
You know, it's interesting. In his first at bat, he dribbled one right back to Homer Bailey on a breaking pitch, and this time he didn't miss the same pitch. I mean, that's about as far as you're going to see Kevin Plawecki hit a baseball.
Mesoraco homered yesterday, and now Plawecki today. So the catcher is contributing some power.
Just a little spinner in the middle of the plate.
Syndergaard carves one foul, 1-1. That Mets home run means the city will donate enough for No Kid Hunger to provide 20,000 meals to kids in need. It's the 17th that Homer Bailey has allowed this year. Syndergaard drives one into center for a base hit. Noah's got his 4th hit of the season. So the Mets getting some punch out of the 8 and 9 hitters.
Well, they've hit the ball on the nose the last couple of innings. And even Syndergaard with a line drive up the middle.
Now Rosario is at 2 balls hard. He singled through the hole into left in the first, lined out to short in the second. Danny Darwin, the Cincinnati pitching coach, on his way to the mound.
Well, here's the home run. They said a little spinner in the middle of the plate. I mean, you can't get any more in the middle of the plate than that.
Kevin Plawecki has now hit 10 home runs in his major league career, and 2 of them against Homer Bailey. It's the only pitcher he has more than 1 against. You would figure he would be a guy in your own division, but no. Bullpen gets cranking for the Reds. Wandy Peralta is the first man up as Bailey struggles. He's given up back-to-back hits to start 3 of the first 4 innings. That's not a good recipe for success. 9 hits in all now. And now he starts his 3rd time around the batting order with Rosario. Votto playing behind Syndergaard at first. See if Noah gets tempted to run. And Rosario has to move his feet. Ball 1.
Wonder if that was a direct message from Darwin when he came out. You're going to have to pitch inside to get them off your breaking stuff.
And he gets the slider in for a strike, 1-1. You know, Bailey appeared to have things turned in the right direction after spending 2 months on the disabled list with a knee injury. 8-inning complete game, only 3 hits allowed his last time out. Chopper down to 3rd. Suarez handles this one cleanly. Jeanette with the turn, not in time. Rosario just too fast. They get the first out of the inning, erasing Syndergaard on a 5-4 force play.
Watch Rosario running out of the box, head down, digging, and not even close.
Here's Jeff McNeil, who singled to right and scored a run in the first, grounded to short in the second, 1 for 2. So now you got Rosario at first. Votto will hold him on.
Yes, he will. And that's how McNeil got his hit, really. He got it in that hole because Rosario did not run.
Grounded down to the same hole and into right field, and McNeil has his second hit. And as he did the first time, Rosario will go first to third. It's like a carbon copy. This time, though, Votto didn't even make an attempt for it. So McNeil has 2 hits today, and the Mets have 10 over the first 3 1/3 against Bailey. So now Flores, 2 for 2 on his 27th birthday. He's driven in a run. He's scored a run. He was thrown out trying to score another. This could be the last batter for Bailey. They've got the lefty up in the bullpen and Conforto on deck. It has been a parade of base hits for the Mets through the first 4 innings. And a foul tip, 0-1. Good stop by Barnhart. He is so technically perfect blocking those balls.
He not only gets in front of them and centers them, but watch how he kind of jumps forward a little bit. Comes forward to kind of close that gap so he doesn't get that big hop on that breaking ball. Kind of smothers it.
Rosario at third, McNeil at first, and the curveball is down. 2 balls and a strike.
I mean, just gets both of those knees down, where he gets that glove down and his rear end down, like it just shuts off that 5-hole.
Ball loose on the field. That's why Kerwin Danley called time.
Probably if your reliever is throwing the ball on the field, he might not be the reliever you want.
Or maybe the gate was open again. Could be a bullpen catcher problem.
Yes.
Two 2-1 coming to Wilmer. And he takes a fastball for a strike, 2-2. In their last 15 games, the Mets have had only one other game where they've had double digits in hits. That was in Pittsburgh. First game of that series, they had 14 hits. They've got 10 already tonight. We're in the 4th inning. And a check swing foul. Bailey looked like he'd run a marathon before he finished the first inning.
He did, and he does now.
McNeil starts and stops, and Flores lines one into left for another base hit. That'll bring in Rosario. Wilmer's 3 for 3 on his birthday, his second RBI, and it's 5-0 New York. Have a birthday. 3 hits in the first 4 innings. Yeah, that's going to be all for Homer Bailey.
Try to get that fastball in on him. We've talked about how quick Wilmer is inside, and he took care of that fastball.
Another rough night for Homer Bailey against the Mets. They knock him out in the 4th inning. Call to the bullpen brought to you by Verizon. The lefty Wandy Peralta coming in. 5-0 Mets. We'll be right back.
Really funny. You're really funny, Keith.
What do you mean I'm funny?
Keith and Ron turned good fellas into Mets fellas, making them both funny guys on an all-new episode of the SNY.TV digital series The Amazing Life, presented by Coca-Cola. Watch it now at SNY.TV/Coca-Cola. So, does that make Keith Joe Pesci?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Wandy Peralta in. 2 on and 1 out, and Michael Conforto goes after a first pitch slider, 0-1.
Peralta led all Major League rookies last year with his 69 appearances. He's having the same kind of year this year. The only number that really stands out, though, 25 walks and a little over 30 innings pitched.
Yeah, his whip is much higher this year than it was last. Conforto had a base hit to right field his first time up. 8 of the 9 Mets who started this game have at least a base hit. Only Nimmo has yet to join the party. Homer Bailey went 3 1/3, allowed 11 hits, no walks, 2 strikeouts, a home run, 71 pitches. And now Peralta coming on in the 4th. Wandy Peralta, 25 years old. McNeil at second, Flores at first with 1 out. And Conforto grounds one down to Votto. He'll go to second, get the force there. The return not nearly in time. Ball that Peraza probably should have put in his pocket. So they get the 3-6 force on Flores for the second out. McNeil goes to third. Conforto at first with 2 down.
And the reason we say not to throw this is because there's just too many bad things that can happen. One, you're not going to have a play at first base. You have the pitcher covering who's left-handed. It's kind of trying to find the base at the same time catching the ball. Just too tough a play. Not worth the gamble.
So now Frazier, who's had a couple of good at-bats, single to right to drive and run to the first. Hit a long fly ball to center that advanced a couple of runners his last time up in the third. He bats here with first and third and 2 out. And he takes a slider for a strike, 0-1. Reds have further bullpen action going. A little surprising in the 4th inning. Right-hander Kerry Mella is up. Just foul. 0-2 to Frazier.
Frazier led the Reds in home runs in 2014 and 15, 29 in 2014 and 35 and 15.
There's Mella. He's made only 1 appearance for the Reds. It's a little unusual, right? You go to a long man in the 4th inning and you get somebody else up right behind him. Guess the pitcher spot is due up, which is why Jim Riggleman would do that.
I think also Peralta's walk numbers. You know, when you have a pitcher out there that you can't count on to throw strikes, sometimes you have to get someone else up just in case, not let the game get too far past you.
And also, Mella was a starting pitcher in the minors, so he might need a little more time to warm up. So I guess their plan is to have Peralta finish this inning, bat for him, and then have Mella ready for the next inning. McNeil at third, Conforto at first with 2 out. And Frazier fouls off another one.
And starting pitcher ERA for Cincinnati will continue to grow.
And Homer Bailey's ERA against the Mets as well.
Yeah.
Started at 7.2. That'll go up. Frazier skies one to left center. And Hamilton scurries over. That retires the side. But the Mets cash a pair, led by Kevin Plawecki's home run off the facing of the second deck. 3rd of the year for Plawecki. As the Mets drive Bailey out, it's 5-0 New York. Noah Syndergaard, 4 scoreless innings under his belt. He's allowed 3 hits, struck out 3, walked 1. Now the Reds have a 4-man bench, but that doesn't include this guy.
That's right.
Michael Lorenzen, who is a pitcher, has had an incredible run as a hitter this year. 4 for 14 with 3 home runs. So on days when he's not available out of the bullpen, he's available to pinch hit, and he's batting against Syndergaard to start the 5th. He's 3 for 8 as a pinch hitter this year with 2 of those home runs. And he takes a rip at a sinking fastball, 0-1.
I mean, he's looks like an everyday player. Lorenzen put together. I think the last real good hitting pitcher I saw was Micah Owings. You know, a guy that could have played a position and tried to.
Well, the was it the Brewers who had Brooks Kieschnick?
Yeah,
who tried to do both.
That's right.
And of course now there's Shohei Ohtani. You got to see him yesterday.
I did. He looks great at the plate.
0-2 to Lorenzen, and it's away. Did they say what the plan is for Ohtani as far as pitching?
Plan is they might not use him the rest of the year pitching. Might just use him as a hitter. Doubled in his first at bat, almost hit a home run in his second at bat, and can fly, Gary.
And they need him more than ever now with Mike Trout now apparently hurt worse than we thought. There's a nice curveball to strike out Lorenzen. That is strikeout number 4 for Syndergaard. 1 down in the 5th. We check in with Steve Gelb. Steve.
Well, Gary, when you look at Noah Syndergaard's season, by most measures, he's having a really nice year. But for Syndergaard, it's not exactly the same as we've seen in the past. Not quite as electric, not missing as many bats. And I spoke with Dave Island about it today. He pointed out a couple of things. He said, first of all, the league adjusts. We know that. The league adjusts, and it's on the pitcher to adjust back. But with Syndergaard in particular, you have to remember, he only threw 30 1/3 innings a year ago. It's been a lot of stops and starts this season. And so while the team and Syndergaard recognize he needs to work on some things, he needs to work on coming inside to batters, maybe pitching up in the zone, holding runners on, certainly. At this point, he hasn't had the requisite time to do that, and he's trying to just get a feel for his pitches again. Once he gets on a better routine, then he can start to refine his pitching repertoire a little bit.
Jackson runs down Hamilton's fly ball for the second out.
Well, I think the most important thing for Noah is moving forward, how does he stay on the field? Because he's got all you would need to have a big year. He's just got to be out there 32 times.
Do you think that he needs to make the transition to being an up-in-the-zone pitcher the way DeGrom has?
I think that would be a good move for him with the way the game is. But he's more comfortable down. How can you question a guy who doesn't walk anybody? That's where he feels more comfortable, is down in the strike zone. But I would, yes, especially in key situations where you don't want the ball put in play, you need a strikeout. That good high riding four-seamer would be great, but hard to argue too much against Syndergaard. He's almost great every time out.
You saw that note at the bottom. Only 5 Met pitchers have ever had a lower ERA through their first 75 starts. That would be Gooden, Kuzman, Seaver, DeGrom, and Matlack.
It's all the elite. It's all the elite pitchers that this organization's ever had.
Number 7 on that list is in the ballpark as well tonight. That would be Matt Harvey.
Yes.
0-2 to Peraza, and the curveball half swing. He went around, strike 3, side retired. 5 strikeouts for Syndergaard, including 2 in that 5th inning. He's retired 7 in a row. Halfway through at Citi Field, 5-0 New York.
It is simple to get to the Met Love Nest at Shea Stadium. Most people take the subway. The Express gets you to the park in 20 minutes from Midtown Manhattan. The Long Island Railroad also provides quick and easy access. If you're driving, wide new highways from all directions help speed you there.
At least that was the expectation. I like the blue tinted 7 train cars.
You do?
Back in the day.
Yeah.
That's memory presented by Burden LLP Accountants and Advisors. Kerry Maya on to pitch for the Reds as we go to the bottom of the 5th.
Well, Maya has a big arm. Throws between 95 and 98. He made his debut last year in relief a couple of times. They want him to be a starting pitcher, but they're not sure if he maybe might project as a setup man.
Nimmo scalds one on the ground. Nice backhand stop by Jeanette, and he throws him out, one away. 5th inning recap presented by Aetna Better Health of New Jersey. Mets got 3 in the first, 2 in the 4th, and knocked out Homer Bailey. Noah Syndergaard, 5 scoreless innings, and the Mets with a 5-0 lead as we play in the 5th. Now Austin Jackson, who had an RBI single in the first inning. He's 1 for 2. And Maya gets the breaking ball in for a strike.
Maya was supposed to be the biggest piece coming back from the Giants. Remember when the Reds sent Mike Leake over to the Giants in the stretch run? They got Adam Duvall and Maya. He's supposed to be the bigger piece, especially now that Duvall's been traded.
Duvall gave him a couple of spectacular years, 30-plus home run years. Maya spent most of this year starting games in AA and AAA, 9-4, 3.09 ERA in those 19 starts. And Jackson flares one over the head of Jeanette, and he's got his second hit of the day. So Jackson just continues to produce base hits. Now hitting .400 as a Met.
It's interesting watching Jackson because I've seen him play a lot, and I saw him when he first came up with Detroit. He had a big swing, struck out a lot. He was trying to hit for power, and now he seems like he's taking a different approach in the Mets uniform, even though he's hit a couple of home runs.
So 1 out and 1 on for Plawecki, who smashed a home run his last time up, his 3rd of the year.
When you watch Jackson, this is 95 plus right at his hands, and he pulls them in and able to just brush that into right field. Jackson, you would hope that he can do that more because he can get on base. He can do a lot of things.
Not the base stealer he once was, but he has 3 this year. He can still run a little bit. Plawecki hits one toward the middle, but Jeanette played perfectly. The flip to Peraza, and the low throw handled by Votto for the 4-6-3 double play that ends the inning. So Maya gets through the 5th unscathed. We go to the 6th. Syndergaard back to the mound up 5-zip. with 5 scoreless innings under his belt, 71 pitches. Went 7 pretty good innings in Washington in his first start back from the virus. But he has been in command tonight, and he got plenty of runs to work with early.
Yeah, he gave up that 2-run home run to Anthony Rendon in his last start.
We'll get Joey Votto to lead off in the 6th inning tonight. Votto, Jeanette, and Suarez, the 3 best hitters in the Cincinnati lineup, stacked up against Syndergaard in the 6th as he works his 3rd time through the Cincinnati batting order. Noah, lifetime against the Reds, 4 starts, 3-0, 1.98. Hadn't faced them since before the lat injury last year back in 2016. Votto's 2 for 2 tonight. And he takes curveball out of the strike zone, ball 1. There's the spray chart on Votto, the reason that you can't put the full shift on against him. Too many balls on that left side of the infield. StatCast AI powered by Amazon Web Services.
He came into this game 0 for 11 against Syndergaard, and hits in his first 2 at-bats.
First one was right over the 3rd base bag. The second one, low bridge Syndergaard, nearly gave him a haircut into center field. He's done better against the shift than he has against the non-shift, which is why the Mets play the non-shift. And an ugly cut that time at the slider, and he fouled it back 1-2.
Okay. The definition of the shift is, of course, 3 players have to be on one side to qualify as a shift. For Votto, that would be on the right side.
I think there's anybody, if shifts had always existed, anybody in the history of the game that would have had 3 infielders on the opposite side?
Tony Gwynn's the first one that comes to mind. Maybe.
Play that 5.5 hole.
Pitch him away, play him away.
He would have pulled everything.
Of course he would have.
Swing and a miss, got him with a changeup. Syndergaard has his 6th strikeout of the night as he retires Votto for the first time.
Votto had seen everything: the breaking balls, the slider, curveball, and fastball. He had not seen the changeup yet till right there. Those are the weapons you can save for that 3rd time through the lineup.
It's a much more uncomfortable at bat for Votto that time. He had a bad cut at that slider for the 2nd strike, and then off balance on the changeup. Here's Jeanette, who's hit into a fielder's choice and walked tonight, 0 for 1. Ryan Joseph Jeanette, nicknamed after a Muppet baby. Scooter. Yeah. You know, they've tried to give Michael Conforto that nickname, Scooter, since he's been in the big leagues. It hasn't stuck. Up the middle and a base hit for Scooter Jeanette. That is hit number 4. But I think for Scooter Jeanette, I think it works really well.
Perfect.
Check in with the studio. Michelle Yu has a game break brought to you by your Tri-Honda dealer. Marlins are trying to snap a 6-game losing streak after they got swept by the Phillies over the weekend. Here's Eugenio Suarez, and he takes a sinker low and in for ball 1. Cardinals had a good weekend against the Pirates, and I thought talk about getting something for nothing, picking up Tyson Ross
to
help out with their rotation.
Claimed him off waivers, right?
They claimed him off waivers, and the same day the Padres let Ross go on waivers. They let Jordan Lyles go on waivers to Milwaukee as well. I mean, the explanation from A.J. Preller was we want to use younger guys, but don't you think they could have gotten something for either one of those guys? I mean, the way it works, if somebody claims a player on waivers, you can work out a deal with them.
That's right.
And then if you can't work out a deal, you can pull them back or let them go.
Well, that's what the Athletics just did with the Tigers for Fiers.
Right, exactly.
You know, there's a list of players that the Tigers will be able to pick from. I've heard those lists sometimes are A and B, and if the player that you acquire has a really strong finish, you get the pick from the A list.
It's another good changeup by Syndergaard to get even 2-2. Suarez has already struck out twice tonight.
Here's the 2 pitches he struck out on. This one called on the inside corner. And then the changeup down.
I think if you remember the first one, it should have been called on the inside corner, but they actually called the half swing.
That's right.
Which wasn't a swing. So they didn't call the strike that was, but they called the half swing that wasn't. It's the 2-2. And it's grounded down to third. Might be a double play. Frazier's throw, though, is wide, and McNeil does well just to catch the ball and hit the bag to get an out. So Frazier put his second baseman in a bad way, and McNeil did well to just get the out at second base.
Well, this really hasn't been a clinic in infield play by both sides. McNeil lucky he didn't get leveled there by Scooter Gennett. Just gets out of the way with that right foot with the hop.
Almost second baseman on second baseman violence.
Yes.
So that leaves Suarez at first with 2 out. And now Mason Williams, who has struck out and lined out to center field. Mason Williams has some baseball pedigree. His uncle is the very famous Walter No Neck Williams, who played for the White Sox back in the 60s and 70s. He also has football pedigree. His dad, Derwin Williams, wide receiver for the Patriots.
Yeah, in the middle 80s, if I remember correctly.
But Mason Williams, when he was growing up in Pawtucket, Rhode Island, of all places,
Wow.
was a hockey player. And then his family moved to Florida when he was 12, and he became a baseball player. Good changeup by Syndergaard. It's become a go-to pitch in this inning. 2-1.
Who was the center fielder, outfielder that was a hockey player? I only know his funny name, Tony Plush.
Oh, Nigel Morgan.
Yeah.
Of course, Tommy Glavine, Kirk McCaskill.
Yep.
Terrific hockey players. Glavine was drafted by the Kings.
That's
I know
right.
that. 2-1 coming. That's slammed to center, but Jackson moves over in front of it, and that retires the side. 6 scoreless innings for Noah Syndergaard with 6 strikeouts along the way. 5-0 New York. By T-Mobile. Well, let's see. They lost a starting pitcher in McCullers, and now they've lost their center fielder Springer to go with the injuries to Altuve and Correa. All of a sudden, key components of the Astros in some degree of DL difficulty.
That's why they have that only that 4-game lead.
That and the A's who never lose.
That's right. A's and the Red Sox.
Syndergaard had a base hit to center field his last time up. Now facing the right-hander Kairi Maya. We showed you the probable pitchers for the rest of the series, and the Reds have a TBA on Wednesday. Maya had been one of the candidates to start that game on Wednesday afternoon, but now I would guess not. And he gets it over for a strike to Syndergaard, 1-2. Ahmed Rosario on deck, and then Jeff McNeil for the Mets in the 6th. And the changeup blowing in, 2-2.
He's a pretty good Red.
Shows up in Cooperstown every year, and they lock the door.
Yeah, they won't let him in the big house.
Syndergaard down on strikes. First strikeout for Maya. 1 down in the 6th. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Cash for Life from the New York Lottery. You could win $1,000 a day for life. By Buick. Experience the new Buick with a test drive at your local Buick dealer. And by People's United Bank. Need a new checking account? Don't pick one out of left field. People's United Bank. Member FDIC. George Foster scoring the game-winning run in the League Championship Series against the Pirates on a wild pitch, if I recall correctly.
Yep.
Did you see in that little video there Gary Nolan? Now, most people watching probably are too young to remember Gary Nolan, but he came up at 19 years old and he was as good as Seaver.
Yeah. Well, that's who he was compared to, because he had a very similar way of dropping and driving through bullets.
But he hurt his arm and just wasn't the same. There's Gary Nolan, and he really does have that same motion that Seaver had.
Yeah, straight over the top and then drop and drive.
Went 14-8 with a 2.58 ERA as a rookie, as a 19-year-old in '67, which was also Seaver's rookie year.
Right.
As Rosario strikes out for the second out. And his best year was actually 1972, 15-5, 1.99, but that was the year he hurt his arm, and he was just never the same after that. Still wound up with 110 big league wins. The Reds, over the course of the years when they were really good, the Big Red Machine years, that slug to deep right field, right down the line, headed toward the second deck, and it's out of here. Jeff McNeil crushes one way back in the Coca-Cola corner for his second big league home run and his first at Citi Field. Well, that was the swing that hit him 19 home runs in the minor leagues. He got every bit of that. Well, 6-0 New York.
Both of his home runs now, the one in Washington we were talking about before, and then this one, have been moonshots to right field. That slight uppercut.
He almost hit it beyond the second deck. Almost got it to the concourse. And that was the thing of beauty. That's second home run of the night.
So 4-hit game on Saturday, 3-hit game so far tonight. That's being ready to hit first pitch.
Fans are chanting happy birthday for Wilmer Flores.
Very nice.
Wilmer, 3 hits already tonight. The first Met to pick up 3 hits on his birthday since Jeremy Burnitz in 2003. There have actually been a whole bunch of Mets who had 3 hits on their birthday, but Burnitz was the last one before Flores tonight. If he gets a 4th hit, we'll see how that shrinks the list.
Yeah.
Dave Fried's right on it.
Well, he better be on the 4 hits.
Piazza, Carter, Agee, Lance Johnson twice, Jeffries, Youngblood, Mian, Torrey, and Swoboda all had 3 hits on their birthday. Now McNeil has 3 hits on Flores' birthday. Wonder if there's any record for that. Here's the 1-2, and the curveball fouled off. Everything is recorded somewhere in some database.
That's right. You got to get McNeil out of that number. I mean, it's hot right now, so you stay with it.
I don't know that you want to switch just because it's an offensive lineman's number.
It's an awful number for an infielder.
Well, it's pretty much a terrible number for any baseball player. I mean, if you're a pitcher, you don't want to be wearing 60.
No.
But how can you, if you're hitting over 300, got a couple of bombs already.
And if you continue that until the end of the season, that will be the number forever.
And you can't just add the 6 and the 8 because 14's retired.
That's right.
Eighth pitch of the at bat to Wilmer, and he gets tied up, and it hit him, and he's on base for the 4th time. Might be the first player ever to get 3 hits and get hit by a pitch on his birthday, but we don't know that for sure. That's got the uniform shirt.
Yep.
So now Michael Conforto is 1 for 3 tonight. Mets have 13 hits in this game, including a couple of long balls from Plawecki and McNeil. We have confirmed, Ronnie, 57 years of Mets baseball.
Yeah.
Wilmer Flores is the first Met ever to have 3 hits and get hit by a pitch on his birthday. So there you go. There's your stat of the night.
Oh, jeez.
Conforto breaks his bat and dumps one into left for a base hit. At the cost of a bat, Conforto has his 2nd hit of the night. His 2nd straight 2-hit game.
You can only smile when you get hits like that. Well-placed pitch there by Maya. Breaks the bat of Conforto, strong enough to dump it into left field. Just above the pine tar on that bat. Way up on the label.
So now Frazier with 2 out and 2 on. Todd Singleton a run on the 1st. He's flied out twice since then. And takes a fastball in tight from Maya. Ball 1. So 14 hits now for the Mets.
I'll tell you, ever since Conforto got that hit, Votto has been on him, talking to him nonstop. I mean, if you want anyone to talk to you at first base, it's Joey Votto if you're a hitter, right?
Might be asking Conforto about his career high walk rate because, it's a big part of Joey's game.
That's right.
Game 2 of this series tomorrow night. Mets will have Jason Vargas on the mound. Sal Romano goes for the Reds. 6:30 the coverage on SNY. One-two coming, and Frazier lays off 2-2. So I know this is getting a little silly.
Yeah.
But there are 14 players in Major League history who've had 3 hits and a hit by pitch on their birthday, which is not really a memorable thing, except for that 2 of them are Lou Gehrig and Shoeless Joe Jackson.
Really? Well, there you go, Wilmer.
It's good company.
Dave Fried is working overtime tonight, isn't he?
Frazier pops one up to center. Another chance for Hamilton. And that retires the side, but the Mets stretch their lead on the moonshot by Jeff McNeil. A big home run into the second deck and right. 6-0 Mets going to the 7th. The Reds' single-season record for on-base percentage. It is the little second baseman.
466 in 1975. He had 132 walks that year.
466. That's good. That's almost Bonzian. McNeil handles the ground ball by Tucker Barnhart. That's the first out of the 7th. As Noah Syndergaard is rolling along. 88 pitches through 6 1/3. Went 7 in his last start. Would certainly like to go at least 7 tonight. So 466. What's the best single season of Votto's career? Got to be close to that, right? Well, he was 474, but it was a year where he didn't qualify for the league leaders because he only played 111 games. That was in 2012. So technically Morgan, but actually Votto. So it was a bit of a, I don't know. It was a left-handed question.
Yes.
The best full season for Votto was last year, 454. Preston Tucker trying to bunt with the third base side open, and he gets hit by the pitch. Now, did he offer at it?
That's what I would ask.
Guess not. Mets didn't really ask for a check. Let's see.
Turns around. He did take the bat back, and it just short hopped his left shoe.
So a one-out base runner for the Reds, and now Phillip Ervin will pinch hit for Cincinnati. Ervin, who plays some against left-handers, probably get a start tomorrow night against Jason Vargas. Meanwhile, Tucker trying to shake it off. So Ervin bats with 1 out and 1 on. And he takes a fastball for a strike. So that's 5 batters Noah's hit this year. In his career before this season, he hit a total of 6. Now, go back to spring training and what Dave Island said. One statistic he wanted to lead the league in is hit batsmen. So perhaps Noah's taken that to heart.
I think Noah's pitched more in than any of the other pitchers on the Mets staff.
Except for Matz.
Oh, Matz. Yeah, that's right. The left-hander. thinking more off the plate in, you know.
Right.
Matz throws a lot of strikes on that inside corner.
Oh, and 2 to Irvin, and that's inside, and he got hit. So back-to-back hit batsmen, and the Reds have 2 men on. As if to prove the point.
That's right. Well, when you throw that 2-seamer in on the right-handers, if you can't control how much that ball runs in, you're going to have these hit batters, and this just clips them on the belt.
Had 2 hit batsmen in the last inning that got hit on uniform pieces rather than actual body parts. Flores got hit on the uniform shirt, and Irvin got hit on the belt. Mets will get their first warm-up action going. Bobby Wall will begin to throw. Meanwhile, the Reds trainers coming out to have a look at Tucker, who still is feeling it after taking that ball off the top of his shoe.
Yeah, he's not walking very well. You know, when the manager and trainer come out, probably not long for this game.
Well, they just use Irvin to pinch hit. They can certainly leave him in the game to play left field if Tucker has to come out.
You can see that barking a little bit, hit him right on the instep. You know, when you're new to a ball club, you don't want to come out of a game. You know, you want to get the reputation as a gamer to stay in there. So that's what Tucker looks like he's going to do.
I want to know whatever happened to the ethyl chloride.
I know.
Remember, every trainer used to have the little spray bottle to freeze the area. I guess they don't want guys getting numb so that they, you know, exacerbate an injury.
Right.
But that, I mean, that was ubiquitous.
Oh.
Every single time a trainer came out, he had a little bottle of ethyl chloride, sprayed it on the bruise.
It wouldn't matter if you got hit by a pitch, if you hurt your ankle, whatever it was, they would just spray that stuff on it.
That and the smelling salts. They're you know, it's a bygone era. Here's Billy Hamilton with 2 on. He lines one into right for a base hit. Tucker to third. He limps his way, and it's booted by Nimmo. Now Tucker is going to stay put at third base. You know, if Tucker were running better, I'm sure he would have scored, even down 6-0. But after Nimmo booted it and Tucker had already slammed on the brakes, he couldn't really get it started again. So it's a base hit for Hamilton to load him up.
Good swing by Billy Hamilton, hit right on the nose, and the short hop gotten here by Nimmo. That's why it hit off the heel of his glove. Tucker broke it down. Like even though he's not running great, he was running well enough to score. Watch Billy Hatcher, the third base coach, waving him. Oh, he just puts the hand up to hold him right off the bat. Yep. Because he knew his foot was sore.
Well, that and it's 6-0.
Yeah, exactly.
So now the Reds with a chance to do some major catching up with Jose Peraza at the plate. Peraza is 0 for 3, flat out, grounded out, struck out. Noah at 95 pitches now. Back-to-back hit batsman, followed by the Hamilton base hit to load him up. And that's line to center. Coming on is Jackson. Will have to play it on a hop. Coming home to score is Tucker, and everybody else moves up a base. Hamilton's safe at second. So Peraza drives in the first Cincinnati run, and it's 6-1.
Well, a couple mistakes here by Noah to hit 2 batters has put him in a tough way as Mickey Callaway comes out after he hangs that slider to Peraza.
So that's going to be all for Syndergaard. Hoping to get through 7 innings for a second straight start coming off the DL, but it's not going to be. 2 hit batsmen and 2 hard hit base hits from Hamilton and Peraza play to run. And with the score of 6-1, Noah will leave after 6 1/3, and Bobby Wall will come on.
That's one of those games where it's just like you just ruined it in 1 inning.
It's a rough finish for Noah Syndergaard.
Well, you know, that's how pitching can be sometimes. Just one inning can get away from you. And, you know, if Wall's not able to retire these hitters, it really leaves a stain on your night.
Third outing for Bobby Wall. And he faces Joey Votto with the bases loaded. It's a rough introduction to the game. Votto's 2 for 3 tonight. And Wall's first pitch curveball misses for ball 1.
Wall in his first appearance for the Mets, he had a real good curveball. In his second appearance, he had a real good slider.
Both of those against the Braves, now facing the Reds. And coming into the hot box with the bases loaded and 1 out. And Votto takes a fastball away, and it's 2-0. Wall came from Oakland, and the Jerry's Familia deal. Familia has been fantastic since going to Oakland. Syndergaard 96 pitches over 6 1/3, 6 hits, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts, the 2-hit batsman in this inning. And hoping Wall can pick him up. But it's behind Votto 2-0. And Joey takes inside, ball 3. Well, you know Votto's not going to help you out.
You said 34 times he had swung at a 3-0 pitch. I wouldn't think he'd swing at one here. His team down by 5 runs.
Get him to within 1. But he takes a strike, 3-1.
The right play.
Well, especially he's not hitting for that kind of power this year. 36 home runs last year, only 9 this year. Robert Gsellman up behind Wall as Mickey Callaway doesn't want to let this game get away after a 6-0 lead. And Votto fouls back the fastball, 3-2. So Wall works his way back in.
He was going for the downs there, though. That was his big swing.
Scooter Gennett, the on-deck batter. A run is in this 7th inning. And a lot of speed on the bases for the Reds. Irvin at third, Hamilton at second, Peraza at first. Jared Hughes has had a really good year up in the Cincinnati bullpen alongside Jesus Reyes, no relation to Jose. 3-2 coming, and Votto fouls off another fastball.
Boy, that was a good pitch by Wall. Even better, fouling it off by Votto.
Seventh pitch coming to Votto. And Joey carves that one foul. I mean, when you're facing a guy like Votto who has such great strike zone discipline, do you dare throw anything but a fastball here? The bases loaded?
With the score the way it is, I think you have to pitch to the score, and just your best pitch is your fastball. You have to trust it.
And he walked him to force in a run. So Votto draws his 86th walk of the year. Irvin comes in to score the second run of the inning. Now it's 6-2, and the Reds will get the tying run to the plate with Scooter Gennett coming up.
Votto was in that mode that he would have fouled off 20 pitches before he walked, whatever it took.
Welcome to Votto land, Bobby Wall.
Yeah.
So now Gennett, who has a walk and a single to center, 1 for 2 tonight. By the way, the Reds have hit 9 grand slams this year. It's a lot of grand slams. Now, the only guy who has 2 for them doesn't play for them anymore. That's Adam Duvall.
Well, they're 6-10 out since the All-Star break, and they've only scored 23 runs in those 10 losses. So their power and their offense has not been as strong of late.
And a chest protector blocked by Plawecki. The ball blocked him as much as he blocked it.
Just hurled his body in front of it and hoped. Ball hits before the plate. I mean, a good 2 feet before the plate.
Ball trying to get his breath. 1-1 to Jeanette with Suarez on deck. And a foul tip on the slider. 1-2.
It's one of the few times you see a hitter in today's game swing over a high fastball, not under.
Hamilton at third, Peraza at second, Votto at first. 1-2 to Jeanette. And Plawecki blocks another one. And Hamilton will stay put. Oven mid at all. 2-2.
Really so much torque on that ball. He's just spiking it right into the ground. And
2-2 coming. And now another full count. Well, after walking Votto to force in a run. Ball got ahead on Jeanette, but now he's run the count full again.
And he spiked 2 curveballs, so it's almost the hitter should know what's coming.
(3-2). And he struck him out. Came up and in with a fastball to get Jeanette for a big second out.
Well, Jeanette doesn't have the discipline of Votto. And this pitch up in the strike zone and in, he swings through.
Mickey Callaway's on his way out to talk to the home plate umpire, Kerwin Danley. Looks like he'll make a double switch because Zellman will come into the game to face Suarez with the bases loaded and 2 out. And Luis Guillorme is coming in as well. 6-2 New York in the 7th. We'll be right back to Citi Field. So that 9th, Robert Gsellman goes in the 5-hole.
Got 4 outs in Saturday's game. Gsellman, 50th game already this season. First year in the bullpen.
2 runs home in this 7th inning, both charged to Noah Syndergaard. And now Eugenio Suarez, who had a rough time with Syndergaard, bats with the bases loaded and 2 out. Suarez struck out twice and hit into a fielder's choice. 0 for 3 on the night. And he takes Gesellman's first fastball inside for ball 1. Gesellman in that outing on Saturday night was very economical. 11 pitches to get 4 outs. That's a sawed-off shot into shallow left beyond Rosario for a base hit. Hamilton is in. Peraza scores as well. A soft 2-run single for Eugenio Suarez, and the Met lead has been trimmed to 6-4. So all the inherited runners have come home to roost against the record of Noah Syndergaard.
Well, a fastball in, and that's where Syndergaard pitched Suarez all night long. So Gesellman comes in with 3 or 4 miles an hour less than Noah and not able to retire Suarez, although kind of a lucky hit.
RBIs number 86 and 87 for Suarez, which gives him the National League lead, 1 ahead of Javi Baez. So now the tying runs are on base. The Reds have scored 4 in the 7th. Mason Williams, the 9th man up. He's 0 for 3 tonight, but he's hit 2 balls hard to center field that were caught. And all of a sudden, a game that looked like a cruise for the Mets is a game in jeopardy. Not for the first time.
Yeah, there's not a lot of cruising this year.
We mentioned earlier that Mason Williams' uncle is the late Walt No Neck Williams. We figured we had to show a picture of Walt just so a different generation can see why Walt was named No Neck. Now you know. He came by it honestly. Good cut by Williams, and he fouls it back 1-2.
I will tell you, Mason Williams has had the best at bats of any Cincinnati Red tonight. 2 bullets to center.
He came up to replace a hot rookie, Jesse Winker, who was hitting just under 300 when he went down for the season, and he has picked up right where Winker left off. One-two from Gesellman, and it's yanked foul. Tucker Barnhart, who led off this inning by grounding out, is now on deck. After that ground out, Syndergaard hit back-to-back hitters, gave up base hits to Hamilton and Peraza. He came out. Wall came in, walked Votto with the bases loaded, struck out Jeanette, but then Gesellman gave up the 2-run hit to Suarez, leaving Votto at second and Suarez at first with 2 out. One-two to Williams, and he chops one foul. Again, the 1-2. And Williams lofts that one foul. Jared Hughes ready to go in the Reds bullpen for the bottom of the 7th. Seventh pitch from Gesellman to Williams. He fouls back the high fastball, and the battle continues.
He's fouled off just about everything that Gesellman has. The sinking fastball, the breaking ball, and now that high fastball.
This is a Reds team that doesn't strike out much. They have the 2nd highest on base percentage in the National League. And they have been a tough out tonight, particularly in this inning. 1-2 coming. He fouls away another one. It's on the curveball from Gazelman. He's thrown him the kitchen sink, and Williams keeps fouling him off.
You know, you have the count in your favor. I think the throwing of the breaking ball is a good pitch. Just try to bottom one out in the dirt. Maybe you'll get him to swing over it.
We keep going. 9 pitches deep. No result.
That shot of Noah that we had on the bench, that's what a pitcher looks like after all the inherited runners have scored. That's the face.
Final line on Syndergaard, 6 in the 3rd innings, 4 runs, 6 hits, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts, 2 hit batsmen, all 4 runs scoring in this inning. 3 of them after he left the game. Thus the throwing of the glove. His ERA goes up to 3.17. This will be the 10th pitch of the at-bat from Gazelman to Mason Williams. And he struck him out with a breaking ball. Well, there's the bottomed out curve you asked for. Gazelman wins the battle on the 10th pitch. Strikes out Williams to strand a pair. But the Reds score 4 to get close. Stretch time, 6-4 New York. In the tradition of Craig Lefferts, and Heath Bell likes to sprint his way in from the bullpen.
Good hustle.
Not great style, but you know what?
That's all right. He's hustling.
Going as fast as he can.
Anytime guys are running on the field, I'm all for it.
Problem is he looks like he's out of gas by the time he gets to the mound. Brandon Nimmo leads off in the home 7th against Hughes, who throws that trademark sinker and gets a swing and miss. Phillip Ervin stays in the game in left field. Preston Tucker comes out after getting hit on the foot by a pitch and making his way around the bases.
Well, you see his numbers. We were talking about before, the Reds since early May, the first week of May, have gone 41 and 36. That's when he really started his season. Since May 4th, his ERA is just a shade over 1 for Jared Hughes.
Hughes has been great. David Hernandez, another reclamation project, has been really good, and they've got the closer Raisel Iglesias, a guy who can pitch 2 innings at a time if he needs to.
So can Hughes. Hughes has pitched over 1 inning 13 times, 2 innings or more 7 times.
He was in Milwaukee last year after spending the first 6 years of his career in Pittsburgh as a useful piece of a very good Pirates bullpen. Ahead 0-2, and Nimmo watches wide 1-2. Nimmo 0 for 3 tonight, 3 ground balls. Syndergaard charged with 4 runs tonight, most he's given up since his opening day start against the Cardinals. Nimmo trying to get Hughes to get that sinker up a little bit. Austin Jackson on deck, and then Kevin Plawecki for the Mets in the 7th. Mets have banged out 14 hits tonight, but they've seen a 6-0 lead shrink to 6-4, and they might need to do a little more hitting. Nimmo pounds that one into the ground. He's been doing the same thing for a long time.
He really has. He throws strikes, comes right after you. Went to Long Beach State, where he was teammates with Troy Tulowitzki, Evan Longoria.
Nimmo grounds one toward the hole. Jeanette with a nice sliding stop, up and throwing to get him. Good play by Jeanette, who's had some trouble on some balls to his right, but going to his left that time, he makes a stellar play for the first out.
It's 2 really good plays he's made, both on Nimmo. Cost Nimmo a couple of hits. But he's right in that hole, gets up and gets enough on the throw.
So 1 out and nobody on. Now Austin Jackson, who's 2 for 3 tonight. And he shoots one the other way for his 3rd hit of the night. Flores, McNeil, and now Jackson, each with 3 hits in this game. The Mets 15th.
That's 2 similar at bats. Sinking fastball in on his hand, and the inside out swing from Austin Jackson.
So the Mets have a 1-out base runner, and now Plawecki, who hit a home run off the facing of the second deck in left field in the 4th inning. 1 for 3 on the night. And takes a fastball for a strike. Luis Guillorme is on deck. He's hitting in the 9 spot after a double switch. Quick throw to first by Barnhart, but Jackson gets the hand back. Jared Hughes, 4th Cincinnati pitcher of the night. Gary Maya did a pretty nice job. Gave up the home run to McNeil in the 6th, but that's all he allowed in 2 innings of work. Starter Homer Bailey got tagged for 5 runs and 11 hits over 3 1/3. And there is Raisel Iglesias. We talked about the ability of their closer to go more than an inning. Well, he's up in the 7th. Plawecki, it's a double play ball if they hurry. Peraza to Jeanette, and on to first. Low throw handled by Votto, side retired. 2nd double play grounder of the night. Hit into by Plawecki. After 7, 6-4 New York. at the office for Homer Bailey. Noah Syndergaard threw 6 scoreless innings, but the 7th was his Waterloo. So in the end, neither one got what they wanted. But Syndergaard has the status of being pitcher of record on the long side of a 6-4 score. Robert Gazelman gave up a 2-run hit in the 7th that cost Syndergaard a couple of runs. But he got the big strikeout of Mason Williams to get through that 7th, and now will face Tucker Barnhart leading off in the 8th. Barnhart 0 for 3 tonight. He's flied out and grounded out twice. And he flies one toward the gap in left center, but back goes Jackson onto the warning track to run it down.
That ball carried.
You have to enjoy what Jackson has brought.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's swinging the bat well, but what he's here for is his defense, and he makes these plays look easy.
Well, he just gets a superior jump. And this one carried a little bit, and he stayed with it.
Well, now the former Met Dilson Herrera will come up to pinch hit. Herrera, who's been hurt much of the time since the Mets dealt him to the Reds. As we mentioned earlier, they've been working him out in the outfield and think that he might get some playing time out there in coming days. Slider by Gazelman. 0-2. Dilson's still only 24 years old. Didn't play in the big leagues at all the last 2 seasons. And chases one for strike 3. So Gazelman makes quick work of Herrera for the 2nd out.
Fastball, slider, then curveball by Gazelman. It's funny when you see a guy like Herrera. You know, when he first started with the Mets, he almost looked like he was a can't miss kind of player, and he's kind of lost his way.
Well, he's a little guy who hit home runs, and sometimes those guys get in trouble.
Yep.
That's dealt him for Jay Bruce. First time they got Bruce. Phillip Ervin up for the 2nd time, flies one out to right, and Robert Gazelman has a very easy inning. He throws just 4 pitches to get the Reds out 1-2-3. Still 6-4 New York. As part of the tribute video that the Mets played on the scoreboard before the game today in recognition of Matt Harvey's contributions to the Mets. Matt back at Citi Field for the first time since the Mets traded him 3 months ago. Raisel Iglesias on the pitch. Luis Guillorme, it's a one-hopper. Iglesias has to cover, and he just gets there in time, at least according to Ben May, but the Mets may well challenge this call. Jeanette had to wait for Iglesias to get there because Votto had vacated. It looked like Guillorme might have beaten it, and the Mets are going to challenge the call.
I don't know why Jeanette waited so long. He should have just thrown it at the bag, and Iglesias could have run through it. You can see Guillorme kind of clips Iglesias' foot on the bag.
Clearly safe. That's the second one Ben May has missed like that today. The Reds had a call overturned on a similarly.
Whenever I used to cover for first on these plays, I would yell, "Get it to me as quick as you can." Then he can run through the bag. He tried to time it, Jeanette. Lost the play.
That's going to be an infield hit for Guillorme once they examine the replay. Jeff Nelson and Larry Vanover are the crew chiefs in the replay center in Chelsea, and this shouldn't take them long. And the call is indeed overturned, so Guillorme has an infield hit, and the Mets have a base runner to start the bottom of the 8th. Jim Riggleman, the Reds manager, coming out with the trainer because Iglesias looked like he might have gotten clipped by Guillorme as he ran across the bag.
Yeah, he came off the bag and bent over for a while. I'm sure that's what happened. Caught a spike. Looks like he's good to go. No visit.
By the way, if you're wondering why Iglesias is pitching in the 8th inning with his team down 2 runs, he hasn't pitched in 4 days, so I'm sure they wanted to get him in this game. And you see, got him right on the toe.
That's why, as a pitcher, when you cover first, got to keep that foot on the inside of the bag.
But I think really that's where Jeanette's hesitation messed Iglesias up.
Totally agree.
Because he kind of stopped, and then he kind of, his momentum had to keep going because Jeanette didn't throw the ball. You see the numbers for Iglesias, who's had a really nice year as the Reds closer.
And the other reason why you throw it quicker if you're Jeanette is because if I'm covering and it's going to be a bang-bang play, I can reach back and tag the runner instead of trying to beat him to the bag. Gives you other options.
But at the end of the day, Luis Guillorme put the ball in play, which he's been doing on a regular basis as Rosario ready to sacrifice and takes inside. Guillorme's now gone 50 straight plate appearances without a strikeout, which is the longest current streak in the majors. He hasn't done a lot of hitting, but when you put the ball in play, something good can happen, and that's exactly what happened there. Should have been an out. Reds didn't turn it, and Guillorme's on. The 16th Mets hit of the game. Rosario, who is not adept at sacrificing, fouls that one off. Geico Sports Night comes up after the post game. We get a mention of the Giants' only player. Jets have a quarterback, and much more on the Matt Harvey return coming up on Geico Sports Night tonight after the post game. I mean, seriously,
it's going to be tough for the Giants with only one player, isn't it?
I mean, we run those Sports Night promos every night. I pick up the sports sections of the newspaper every day, and they only talk about one player. I mean, doesn't somebody have to throw the ball before he can catch it? I mean, they've supposedly got 90 players in camp, but I think they only have one.
Well, we started this game talking about Matt Harvey. Sometimes some players can be that center of attention.
I'd like to say transcended, but maybe that's not the word. That hits Rosario in the batter's box, so he continues to struggle getting the bunt down. It's 2-2. Jerry Blevins up in the Mets bullpen with Votto do a turn at bat in the 9th. Votto's scheduled to hit 3rd in that 9th inning. So you'd like to at least tack on a run here to make him not able to tie the game, even in the worst of circumstances. Fouled away by Rosario. SNY's Super Slow Motion is brought to you by your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing.
Very nice.
28-year-old Raisel Iglesias in his 4th year with the Reds. And he strikes out Rosario on a slider for the first out. Iglesias was a starting pitcher when he first began with the Reds. Of course, remember the Reds had Aroldis Chapman. They tried to make him into a starter too. Another pretty good pitcher from Cuba. There's Jeff McNeil, who's had another big night. 3 for 4, including his first Citi Field home run that he parked well up in the second deck and right. And he golfs that one foul.
He's ready to hit first pitch, McNeil.
McNeil has 3 hits. Flores has 3 hits. Jackson has 3 hits. Only the second time this year the Mets have had 3 players with 3-hit games. First one came in Colorado, so it barely counts. And he pushes a bunt. Iglesias off the mound, and he makes the play. McNeil was not trying to sacrifice. He was trying to take advantage of some empty space, but didn't push it hard enough. They're going to give him credit for a sacrifice, but obviously that wasn't his intent.
Here, Barnhart, 1-1-1, yelling out to his pitcher. I think that's inexperience. You don't like that play from McNeil. He just, in his last at-bat, hit a home run. I'd like to see him try to hit an extra base hit.
Well, he just tried to set it up for the birthday boy.
Yeah.
Wilmer's already 3 for 3 and a hit batsman on his 27th birthday. Trying to pick up Guillorme from second. That one gets behind Barnhart, but Guillorme stayed put.
They're always asked sometimes, or I'm asked, why doesn't a runner advance on this? Sometimes when you're running at second base, the pitcher in between, you can lose track of where that ball is or how far it's gone away from the catcher.
The depth of reception is hard.
Yeah.
Wilmer fouls off the fastball, and it's 1-1. That slider catches the corner, and it's 1-2.
Iglesias has interesting in this sense. He's got a lot of different arm angles for his breaking pitches, so you get a lot of different looks. So it makes him so effective.
One-two coming, and Wilmer flies one out to right. Easy for Williams. And that retires the side. We head for the ninth at Citi Field. Mets protecting a 6-4 lead. Thanks, Gary and Nelson. Gary and Ron here with the Coors Banquet Timeless Moment, the Unisphere from the 64-65 World's Fair. Timeless. Jerry Blevins for the save opportunity, looking for his first save of the year.
Well, it's interesting. You have him in not only to turn Hamilton around, Peraza, but Joey Votto in that third spot.
And Jerry falls behind on Hamilton 2-0. Hamilton's job, of course, here is to get on base any way he can to get the tying run to bat. Hamilton had a base hit and scored a run in their big 7th inning when the Reds scored all 4 of their runs. Corners in against Billy, and he takes a fastball for a strike, 2-1. It's been a rough year for Blevins, but he pitched pretty well yesterday. He got Albies and Freeman out. Just getting Freeman out was a big deal for Jerry, who's always had trouble with Freddie. And he gave up a soft hit to Markakis, but he's looked a little bit better lately. And now being asked to save a game for the first time this year. He had 1 last year, 2 the year before, 5 for his career. And there's nobody up behind him in the bullpen, so this save chance belongs to him.
Can't walk the first hitter.
And he gets the fastball over the corner, 3-2. We'll say Peraza on deck. Three-2 to Hamilton, and he fouled off the fastball. Hamilton has a hit in his only career at bat against Blevins. Peraza has a hit in his only career at bat against Blevins. Votto is 3 for 8 against Blevins. Again, the 3-2. And he just got a piece of that one. Probably chase ball 4. Syndergaard went 6 in the 3rd, allowed 4 runs, 6 hits. Bobby Wall, a 1/3 of an inning, walked in a run. Robert Gazelman, an inning and a 1/3, no runs, 1 hit, but that hit produced 2 runs. 8th pitch. Hamilton pops it up right near the mound. Who wants it? It's Guillorme. 1 out.
See Jerry laughing out there because I think he initially called it.
And what do the players say when the pitcher calls for a pop-up?
Just let the athletes take it. You go behind the mound.
So 1 out. Here's Peraza. He singled in a run in the 7th inning. He was the last man Syndergaard faced. And he takes a fastball for a strike.
No curveballs yet from Jerry.
Votto on deck. And the curveball pulled foul. And it's 0-2 to Peraza. (0-2) from Blevins. And he bounces the curveball, 1-2. One-two coming, and Peraza takes the curveball that wraps around the plate. 2-2. Jerry's whip this year, his walks and hits per innings pitch, are the highest for any season since 2010. Trying to get back to the place he was last year when he was so dominant.
What's interesting about watching Jerry and his seasons with the Mets, one year he did it with primarily fastballs. One year he did it just primarily his curveball. He's been in between on both this year.
He has been trying to throw his changeup more lately, but haven't seen that so far tonight. Paul Sewald up in case Blevins needs help. 2-2 to Peraza. Fastball got into his hands, and he gets another pop-up. McNeil takes charge, 2 out. Nice job by Blevins to get in on Peraza, and now the Reds are down to their final out, and Votto can't tie it. Joey's been on base 3 times tonight, 2 singles and a bases loaded walk. He's 2 for 3. 3 for 8 in his career against Blevins, trying to keep it going with Scooter Gennett next. And a first pitch curveball had Votto bailing. It's in for a strike.
Might be his sharpest breaking ball all year. Starts right at Votto. And over for a strike.
He got an ooh out of Joey.
Right.
And Votto takes a fastball for a strike. And the Reds are down to their final strike. Curveball bounced weakly down to first. Flores takes it himself, and the ball game is over. Jerry Blevins picks up his first save of the year on a night that the Mets bang out 16 hits. Wilmer Flores with a 3-hit night on his birthday. Kevin Plawecki and Jeff McNeil go deep, and the Mets take the opening game of the series from the Reds 6-4.
And don't forget Austin Jackson with 3 hits also. Homer Bailey now started 15 times in 2018. The Reds are 1-14 in those games. And Syndergaard, through that 7th inning, still gets the win, his 7th.
Mets have now won 20 of their last 25 games against Cincinnati. The game summary presented by Fidelis Care. Syndergaard gets his 7th win of the year. Blevins his first save of the season. A big offensive night. The Mets with their 2nd most hits this season, 16 of them tonight, as they beat the Reds 6-4. For every Mets win, the Mets organization is proud to contribute $2,500 to Northwell Health and the Cass Institute for Women's Health. For more information, visit northwell.edu/cats. This win brings the total contribution so far this season to $115,000. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by your Tri-State Audi dealers. Take a test drive today. By Fidelis Care, here today, here tomorrow, here to stay. By your local Ford dealers. For great deals on Ford cars, trucks, and SUVs, visit buyfordnow.com. And by New York 811. Be sure you call 811 before you start any digging project, big or small. Make the 811 call. Final score tonight, the Mets 6, the Reds 4. Game 2 of this series tomorrow night. Jason Vargas on the mound for the Mets. Our coverage begins at 6:30 tomorrow night right here on SNY. Now for Ron Darling, Steve Gelbs, and our entire SNY crew, I'm Gary Cohen at Citi Field. Time for WB Mason Postgame Live. Let's join Gary Apple and Nelson Figueroa in the studio. Guys?